So, Jesse, ask me what the fuck we're going to talk about.
I'm all discombobulated today. I opened my can of bubbly without doing ASMR for our loving audience.
You slip in. You douchewad. Is that a thing kids say?
It is now.
Douchewad.
Yeah. So, douchewad, tell me about today's episode. What are you going to teach me?
We're going to talk about a man from Ontario who grew up in a lovely family, who then was influenced by someone and turned to hate. And infused that hate into hate music. And became a global distributor of hate music and hate magazines, only to then find light at the end of the tunnel and become reformed again.
And become a what again?
Reformed. And like a nice person who doesn't hate everyone.
That's a lot of hate.
There's a lot of hate. Well, no hate, less hate, or no hate.
That's
apart from hating the haters.
No hate, less hate.
It's a wonderful journey that shows that even people who might seem like they're in the darkest side of politics can still come back. Like Darth Vader.
This is politics. This is a political show.
No, this isn't like, or just beliefs. This is kind of, I wouldn't say, this is more of a music episode.
Okay.
But like Darth Vader, throwing the Emperor down the laundry chute at the end. Only for him to explode into electricity for some reason.
Right.
It's like that. I did all these bad things, but I'm going to do that. Kind of like that.
All right.
But not as cinematic.
Right. Okay.
You excited?
Yeah. Let's play this. Let's play the song that nobody can understand.
Yay!
Super Blanco, let's troop the light. The place that's excitement, kryptonite. You may fall asleep with no warning. Because Canada is boring, boring. Cause Canada is boring. Canada is boring. So boring. Canada is so fucking boring, boring. A real cool podcast with Reese and Jesse.
Hello and welcome to Canada is Boring.
Hello.
My name's Reese and with me is...
What did you call me?
Jesse, the sex person.
No, after that. It was like fuckwad or something?
Oh, douchewad.
Douchewad, yeah, thank you.
Sorry, someone just walked into the control room.
What a douchewad.
Yeah, get out. Can't you see magic is happening in you? Yeah. STD zone.
Well, if you're new to the show, this is Reese here is a Welsh immigrant, new to Canada for a number of years now. And he likes politics and history, and he has been forcing me to learn about my own country's politics and my own country's history for 4 fucking years now. It's actually been, since we rebranded from Canadian Politics is Boring to Canada is Boring, I've been learning some really interesting stuff. The show's gotten much better for me.
I've had this conversation with so many people recently. I'm working on a TV show about the Defun bunker for Bell at the moment.
What? Get me involved in that. That's fucking
it's
amazing.
Done now. And,
dude, I would have hopped at a chance to work at the Defun bunker. Even as a fucking PA. That's so cool.
It's cool, isn't it?
Were you there? Did you get to
No, I just edited the footage.
Ah.
I'm just finishing the episodes now. But the conversations we had constantly with the people that are making that show is like, hey, why does no one ever tell these stories in Canada? There's so many cool stories.
Right.
And I was like, we're nearly 400 episodes into cool fucking stories. So you're welcome, Canada.
You're welcome.
When I become a citizen, I deserve an extra big citizen medal made of chocolate on the inside.
Gold on the outside.
Gold on the inside.
Yeah.
Gold. But STD zone, small talk dimension zone.
The small talk dimension zone.
Can you hear my voice is a bit hoarse?
I can actually.
Because I'm fucking tired.
What?
Well, it's just busy, work's busy, and I've got family in town who we haven't seen for a year, so we're kind of very intensely catching up with them all. And I've been like...
Wasn't it like just a few weekends ago you were...
No, that was they came for 2 weeks.
So, I see.
So
okay.
they were just right.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so it's been busy. We've done so much stuff with them and eaten out in lots of restaurants. I'd forgotten how to cook at home because we've just eaten out constantly.
Nice. That's great.
After a while, you just kind of want to, I know, just like a dry piece of bread from your own toaster. But I mean, I'm not going to, we've been spoiled, so I'm not going to.
Oh, have they been paying for everything?
My father-in-law has been very generous. I haven't seen him for a year, and he would not let me pay for a meal.
Wow.
So, and we got a big family, so it was very generous.
That's very generous of him.
So naturally, I have lobster every time.
Wrapped in bacon.
Lobster wrapped.
Dipped in caviar. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. With just champagne being poured over it constantly while I eat it.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, or Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Both of them are. You can only call it Dr. Pepper if it's from the Dr. Pepper region of Texas. That's like champagne.
Like champagne, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just called soda pop. There's actually, do you know what? One of the discount supermarkets in the UK have their own rip-off version of Dr. Pepper. It's called Dr. Pop.
Oh, that's
it's amazing.
That's sad.
And they've also got Mountain Brew.
Mountain Brew.
So, how's your life, Jesse?
It's like the Wish versions of these pops.
Yeah.
I'm heading to Montreal for a 2-week vacation, which should be a lot of fun and needed. I think I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna bike around the
cafe slut again.
Cafe slut. I'm gonna be
Jesse's a cafe slut. He likes to just sit in cafes with books.
Well, like cafe hopping, which was what makes me the cafe slut.
Yeah, exactly.
Go from cafe to cafe.
Just you can't even name a cafe in Montreal he hasn't been inside.
Jesus, Reese.
Can I get you a T-shirt printed that says Montreal Cafe Slut or Montreal's #1 cafe slut?
No,
please.
You can make it. I'm not gonna wear it.
So if you live in Montreal, maybe in a cafe near you, you'll bump into Jesse soon. It's funny. I feel like we're both doing a Canadian tour this summer. You're going to Montreal. I'm going to Calgary and Banff and a little bit into BC.
I'm also a little jealous of you for that. Banff is amazing.
Well, it's my 15-year wedding anniversary.
So
and my 40th birthday and my wife's 40th birthday.
Holy shit. Both at the same time. That's
all this year. So it's kind of...
Did you propose on your birthday?
No, I proposed on Valentine's Day, which was economizing dates because I'm bad at remembering dates.
Fair. That's good. Yeah. Hey, that's smart.
We got married on Christmas Day. I'm joking. We didn't.
But you did get married on your birthday.
No.
Well, you said it was your anniversary and your birthday.
Oh, no, it's our anniversary. Yeah, no, we're actually going to be there for our anniversary, but our birthdays are a bit later. So,
okay.
It doesn't all line up perfectly.
Oh, you could have.
It's not like some kind of.
Don't forget.
It's not some kind of cosmic event.
That's really funny.
And there's also a full moon, and the largest sunspot ever recorded. It's weird.
I do miss Banff though. The mountains are just spectacular. It just calms you down. Any stresses you have are just melt away in those mountains.
Yeah, I grew up in mountains, so I feel safe in mountains.
Yep, I get
Whereas Nova Scotia is pretty flat compared to
it is
the slightly more very dramatic landscape of Wales, which is everything's on a gradient in Wales. You have like one leg shorter than the other, and I'm looking forward to being in mountains again.
I get you. I lived in Calgary for a while, and I loved hopping over to Banff. I could. Yeah, it was nice.
Sea level is scary. I don't know why.
All right, teach me some shit. Let's go.
Okay, so George Burdi. Have you heard of George Burdi?
You know I have.
Also known as George Eric Hawthorne.
Okay.
So he was born to a Ukrainian mother and an Italian father, both immigrants, in 1970 in Ontario.
Oh, you know what? I want to talk about that for a second.
Ontario?
Italian. Italy. Just quickly, the cafe slut thing. I like hopping around cafes. I like reading in cafes. I do. I like the atmosphere and the coziness and the vibe. And when I was looking for a place to travel to this past winter,
It's Italy and France, famous for their cafe culture. France was cold. Italy was less cold.
So you'd think this from reading up on it, that there's a lot of cafes in Italy. And there are. I was there. I went. I was there for nearly 2 months. There are a ton of cafes in Italy. Do you know what it's like to get a fucking coffee in Italy? You are expected to slam that fucker back and get the fuck out as quickly as humanly possible. If you stick around, they hate you. There's no cozy vibe. There's no cozy atmosphere. There's no like log cabin-esque sort of style with like, come and sit for an hour and a half. Please, we'd love it. Would you like a slice of cake too? It's like what they charge you if you stay. They literally ask you, are you staying around? Because if you are, we charge you a higher price.
Most places
and then they'll
that.
just glare at you.
Most places do that.
Not in Canada.
Oh, in the UK, if you
but like the expectation in Italy is you stand at the counter, they give you a tiny little
drink
espresso.
your drink and fuck off.
That's exactly it. I was into there's no place to just chill out and read a book for an hour. Anywhere. It's standing room only.
Maybe
you go in, you slam it back, and you get the fuck out. You can, at most, you can stand at the counter and watch the sports on the TV for 2 to 3 minutes, and then you gotta go.
But I just thought you could cover more ground.
It wasn't about the caffeine.
More cafes. More notches on your bedpost.
I eventually figured out how to do it, and like I ingratiated.
But you bought shares in one of the cafes, and as a part owner, they couldn't kick you out.
So I am looking forward to going to Montreal and just hanging out and reading a book in a cozy place and not have people glare at me while I stand there at the counter and sip a fucking espresso for 2 minutes.
Should we get back to the story?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So George Burdi. George Burdi grew up in a small middle-class suburb in Toronto. Happy childhood. His parents are Christians. They got on with everyone. They had
born in Ukraine.
Friends of different races.
You said he was born in the Ukraine?
No. His mother was born in Ukraine. His father was born in Italy, but he was born in Canada.
Okay.
In 1970. He was like vice president of the student council. He was a popular kid. He was on the football team. He started a bodybuilding club. So he was a straight A student, happy kid. Grew up in a multicultural Toronto suburb.
Okay.
Lovely parents, lovely family. However,
I knew there was a blast coming at some point.
He started dating a girl who was either German or of German origin, and her father was involved in the white nationalist movement.
I can take a guess as to what that is, but I'm not familiar with
Nazis, like far right.
Okay.
White kind of, this kind of, blood purity, kind of racial purity kind of stuff.
Right.
The more extreme Trump supporters.
Okay, right.
So his girlfriend's father was involved, and he was in love with her at the time. So he wanted to get approval from him. So he started to kind of read the books he'd recommend and listen to his talks and things.
Oh gosh, okay.
The dad was really focused on World War II and how the Allies were unfair to Germany, and the Holocaust was propaganda.
It's so interesting. Like, just a side note about how what's interesting is where I think you're going to go with this, which is he started believing the books that he was reading.
Yes.
It's so interesting. I'm guessing it was simply because he was a teenager.
He was like 18 at the time.
Right, which, you're more easily influenced. However, like at some point even, like if you gave me a book on explaining me why the sun was black and cold, I could read the whole book and I wouldn't go away going like, well, I guess I believe that now. Like,
but we all know people who have got too far into YouTube or too far into something and have developed a new world opinion by going down a rabbit hole.
I think that there's something deeper happening behind there.
Oh, of course there is.
They're looking to believe in something.
And he retrospectively explains why he thinks it was more than just like, oh, look, a book. It's almost like, don't let those kids play video games or they'll be violent. You can I have a family member.
So there must have been something else propelling him to look for something to believe. And in this case, exactly. I guess it was trying to impress his girlfriend.
No, exactly. Like, I've got a family member who is like a committed left-wing activist for most of their lives, all of their lives, since they were a teenager. And
that's got to be painful.
No, they have principles, principles, and they believe in something. But she has a first edition copy of Mein Kampf, because it's that thing of understanding the opposite angle. Right. So my point is, you can have a book with knowledge you disagree with. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to read a book and go, oh my God, I've changed my mind.
Right, exactly. My father used to take me to church as a child he later told me he wanted to introduce me to the concept of community, right? And we'd go regularly. My father was not religious, But we'd regularly go to church and for years, and I never believed it. It wasn't,
What a waste of time. Think of the you could have.
They had really good snacks.
Think of the dangerous books you could have been reading. So you read a book by the American Nazi Party founder, George Lincoln Rockwell, called White Power. He read it in a day, and he said he didn't start hating people right away, but he was looking for meaning. And within that book was like a heroic challenge. He said, in which my blood was calling me to rise up and save my people from destruction. The kind of epic theme appealed to me. So he was into like Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy books. So he said,
That's so strange.
Some people
be into D&D and also White Power.
But it's a lot of some of it is enthused with like Nordic legends and things, almost like this. There's a lot of mythology and stuff that people believe in with it, which ties into the music and stuff that he got involved with later on. But his argument was like people join Star Trek clubs and local sports teams and all this kind of stuff. And to him, it was the first thing that gave him purpose and meaning in his life, because he was young and impressionable. So he was like, oh my God, I'm going to become part of this epic struggle, this saga that is going on. And that's what kind of gave him that meaning at that age.
Interesting. All right.
Like nothing bad had happened to him. I guess it came from like adolescent boredom more than anything, or looking for a place in the world, which is something all teenagers go through.
That's true.
But sometimes finding purpose. Who am I? What is my place in the world? And then that crux, which is why a lot of people from more extremist beliefs look for people that age to recruit.
Interesting.
Because they're hungry for meaning.
Right.
That's why a lot of suicide bombers are like teens.
Oh, shit.
Because they're impressionable.
Right.
And looking for a purpose. So
okay.
So he was an active white nationalist by his late teens, and then he was part of the World Church of the Creator when he was 21, which had a newspaper called Racial Loyalty, and he started going by the name Reverend Eric Hawthorne.
Was he ordained?
No.
He just started calling himself
who
that.
Would ordain him? The ghost of Hitler.
This is an ad break, so please come back. Offering fun things like pillows and crack, razors, fast food, apps and bear traps. Canada might be boring, but these ads will slap.
Thank you for coming back. Did you buy a pillow or some crack? Maybe you had a quick dump or wee. Well, look who is back. It's Susan Jesse.
I mean, that could be something. Is that the ghost of
It's
Hitler?
the ghost of Hitler. Ah! I'm burning. Anyway. So he formed, but then he got into music. He thought he could spread the word of his beliefs through music. So he started.
That's really funny. There's like deep irony here that like he's getting.
I'm not saying any of this makes sense.
No,
I'm just saying this is what happened.
Right. Okay.
I'm not like joining the dots. Going, no, this makes total sense to me. So his band was called Rohawa, which is RAHOWA. They formed in 1989, which is short for Racial Holy War, which is
wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not up there with the top band names. So I rather the Foo Fighters personally, but apparently because they were a white power gang, gigs were rare. They were lucky to play 4 or 5 times a year. They only played 15 to 20 gigs in 8 years because it was hard to find a venue.
What music did they play?
It was punk rock, like skinhead punk rock. Okay. I was going to try and find some of their songs, and then I read some of the lyrics and a few articles. I was like, I don't want to listen to that.
All right, fair.
Very like.
I'm curious though.
Yeah. So he founded. He was the founding president of Resistance Records and became their own distributor and label. Obviously, there's so much. No record company wanted their demo tapes, if you know what I mean.
It's so This is also very ironic, from what I understand about like all of these sorts of. Not exercises, but like people who play D&D, they kind of have to have a really open mind, and get to play with a variety of people you haven't met before, people you have to get to know. It's all about like multiculturalism in a sense, because there's all these different races that have to get together and play together. And then punk music is, famously open-minded about the world.
Anti-establishment mainly.
Anti-establishment, but
more anarchist than Nazi.
Of course, yeah. But to be anarchist means you have to think about the establishment and what's wrong with it and stuff like that, and want something better for yourself and your neighbors. And so this is all very ironic. It's just,
I guess so, but they're mixed up kids.
Yeah, all right.
Not.
It would have been way funnier if it was like country music. I think that it's
no. Yeah, it would. That would be funny.
It'd be very funny.
So they started the magazine. They started Resistance, which was like side by side with the record company, had a circulation of 13,000 globally in 1995. The magazine's still published today. It was taken over by other people after George turned his back on.
He started the magazine.
He started the magazine. And from 1994 to 1987, they sold 60,000 CDs and tapes.
Wow.
The sales
through the magazine.
Yeah, through the magazine, but also through their record label they set up. They set up their website in 1994. Each month, they'd profit by a couple of $1,000s from sales, which for 1994 means that's
a decent chunk of change.
Very early internet money making.
Right.
So he was obviously got some, he's obviously not stupid to be able to build this network. That was operating, and they had lots of connections in the US as well. It wasn't just Canada; they had operations in Detroit. But some of the concerts were crazy. Okay. So their friends would beat each other up, and they'd have like swollen eyes and broken noses and teeth on the floor. But they would just beat the shit out of each other, like while they were performing and listening to each other's music.
Weird. Okay.
Kind of like moshing, but turned right up to the extreme.
Okay.
However, he went to a memorial concert in the mid-90s in London, and it was a concert that was supposed to happen, and lots of international skinhead and Nazi groups came to the event from around the world. So the police tried to shut down the venue with 2,000 skinheads in from all across Europe.
Wow, that's a lot.
And one of the main streets, they filled every pub with 300 or 400 kind of skinheads like crammed into each pub.
Jesus.
And a skinhead was standing outside smoking, and the police told him to go back inside because they were worried there were 2,000 anti-racist activists traveling to London to protest their kind of music event. And he refused to go inside, so the police tried to arrest him, and he ran into the bar, and they followed him. So like 4 or 5 policemen burst into the pub.
Hold on. I'm sorry. He was outside smoking.
Yeah.
The police told him, you should go back inside because we're worried for your safety because of the protesters that are coming.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't go into the bar, so they arrested him?
They got their clubs out to arrest him and everything.
So, hold on.
And then
they got their clubs out.
Yeah.
Hey, you should go back inside because we're worried for your safety. No. Well, now we're going to beat you up.
Yes. I don't think have you ever met the British police? So, well, the British police in the 90s anyway.
Right, yeah.
So this pub was full of hundreds of skinheads, and then 5 police officers running, totally outnumbered. And they just started throwing pints of beer at them and like glasses and furniture at them, apparently.
Jesus.
So the police shut the doors, and the riot squad surrounded the whole place. The doors burst open, and like 80 police in riot gear and helmets and shields came in and just started clubbing everyone. And apparently cracked a few heads open. He couldn't. He said, and he saw all this. George was like, he couldn't believe like how much violence there was. He said the guys ripped a giant chandelier out of the ceiling to throw at the cops. They were dragging people. The police were dragging people out like rag dolls, unconscious with their heads split open. It was unbelievable. Apparently, some skinheads met anti-racists on the subway going home. One skinhead had his face carved with a knife.
Jesus Christ!
So there's very extreme violence going on around the music.
No kidding. Fucking hell. Yeah, that's all right.
What did they I was like, well, what did they carve? Hitler is shit? Or
that's a lot of letters, man.
That's true. But in Ottawa, 1993, they had a concert that was picketed by anti-racist action protesters. And there was a big hoo-ha, lots of white nationalists giving the kind of Hitler salute. And there was a scuffle, and a woman was struck on the head, one of the kind of anti-racist supporters. She fell on the floor. She was kicked on her side, and someone reported that George was the person who'd done it. So he was arrested and convicted of assault causing bodily harm and sentenced to 12 months in prison. He continues to deny that he didn't do it, but he did.
He continues to deny that
he wasn't the person who was kicking the activists on the floor.
Okay. Believe what I believe, or I'll kill you seems to be one of the greatest human movements since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
So human movements, I don't know, what would you call that? That's not probably not the correct term. But yeah, it's to this day, it blows my mind. Believe what I believe, or I will kill you is mind. Why
have you got to think something different? Everything was neat till you use your fucking brain. Anyway, but when he got out of prison, he had an epiphany about kind of this was the wrong path in life.
Interesting.
So
what happened in prison?
His three biggest decisions. Well, I think so. His three biggest decisions.
It was just a timeout. Well, he got to think.
It was the pain he gave.
Sorry, how long was he in prison for? 3 years? Did you say?
A year.
Just a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably ended up being.
Was the woman okay?
I think so. She was badly injured.
Okay.
Yeah. So the three biggest things were the pain he gave his parents, the futility of the cause, and the judgment of the 12 jurors who were all white, but they judged him.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of made him question,
right,
where the whole thing of white people standing up for white people in that kind of white nationalist sense.
Right.
So his father had worked for 17 years at the same company, and they fired him because of his son. They moved out of Toronto to get a new job, but every time he got close to getting a job, the job offer would fall through.
I don't think they're legally allowed to do that.
Well, I mean, but if you're going through resumes and you're like,
no, but I mean, getting fired for your son.
I think you probably can.
Really?
It's very easy to fire people.
I guess it's easy. No, okay, yeah, it's easier to fire someone, but like for that specific reason, I don't think.
I imagine they probably wrote. That's not what it said on the letter.
Right.
Your son is a Nazi. Goodbye.
Right. Yeah,
didn't just say that. And also the fact that he felt like the jury convicted him not on the facts of the case, but because they disagreed with his views. And he thought he was fighting for people like them. And then he thought that there must be something to their perspective if they were willing to convict him because his opinions were so bad, rather than he believed he was innocent, or he still believes he's innocent. But he was like, they convicted me because of who I am and what I believe. So maybe those jurors were right.
Interesting.
Maybe the reason they wanted to convict me, maybe I deserved to be convicted because my opinions were so bad. It's kind of his epiphany, which is really interesting. It's very complex.
Very open-minded.
Yeah. So he got out in June 1997 and started looking at a new way of life. In 1998, he founded a new multiracial band called Novacosm, and he also in 2018, he founded a neo-folk music band called Uberfolk. And then one of the songs, I said he'll do the song, the lyrics are really bad.
Mm-hmm.
One of the songs he wrote called Third Reich.
Right.
I can never get that one right. Right. He basically said, the lyrics are horrible.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to asterisk out every other word with basically hate words. It's very strong.
You're going to read some now?
No.
No?
I didn't copy and paste it. But he said, quite frankly, I'm ashamed that I ever participated in singing those lyrics. It would be impossible for me to make a personal apology to everyone who was ever affected by that song. Oh. So, yeah. So anyway, there we go. So all those people on the internet who are spewing hate, there is redemption.
You just have to have a timeout in prison.
And your dad not get a job anymore.
And exactly. Yeah, those two things. Well, so normally we do some admin and then either a quiz for me and the audience, you, dear listener, listening, or we sometimes do a improvised heritage minute. I'm thinking this time that's not a good idea. An improvised heritage minute about Nazis in Canada.
Did you find that interesting?
I did. It was a little dark, but the redemption part was really quite nice at the end.
Well, yeah, like Star Wars.
It's exactly like Star Wars.
I cut my son's hand off, but he forgave me because I threw a man down the laundry chute. and he blew up into electricity for some reason.
All right, let's do some admin and then follow up with a quiz that you, dear listener, can follow along. See if you're smarter than me, and I guarantee you are.
Okay, cool. I want to do a very specific call to action. If you haven't given us a review on Apple, please, if you use Apple, we'll find you. Please go and leave us a review. And you can now review on Spotify. So please go and give us a review on Spotify.
You can review the whole show or just each episode?
Each episode,
which is really neat. You don't even have to leave like reviews. You can just leave comments on episodes, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and also I wanted to say thank you to everyone for supporting the show, because we, since our rebrand, and we did used to get in the top 100 comedy on Apple. It did used to happen.
It's difficult to get into the top 100.
It's not easy.
Comedy on Apple. It's not easy.
It's a very competitive one to be in, because we're up against all the big names.
Yeah,
who have constant advertising and social media presence. However, we have been hovering in and out the top 100 comedy shows on Apple, and it's because of your support.
The past number of weeks, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's great. We just seem to be trending up.
It's amazing. So thank you so much, guys, and just for engaging, for listening to the end, for commenting and sharing. It honestly means a lot. And
for two losers who accidentally dress the same every time we come to record.
We have accidentally dressed the same today.
Do you want to just skip a quiz on this one, because it's so full of hateful stuff?
Okay.
It's like,
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good to learn about history, though. But
it is, but we already did.
We were talking about how we're dipping in and out of comedy shows, and had like a really dark episode on hate with like really very little comedy at all. So. All right, I guess that's it. we're done. Yay!
I don't want to talk about Nazis anymore. I'm tired now.
I need a nap.
I need to nap. I'm going to go balance it out by watching some communist videos.
Some communist videos?
Just to balance it out, just so I stay in the center.
Sure. That's how that works.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Fucking hell.
A place that's exciting with kryptonite. You make all a safe with no war.